Hello and welcome to another edition of Immigration Nation Live. My name is Nicole Whitaker. I'm an immigration lawyer and I am here answering your immigration questions. If you have a question about immigration, you can leave it in the comments below and I'll do my very best to answer all the comments in the order that I receive them. I just finished up with a day of consultations, and I would say it was a pretty successful day. Out of all the consultations I had today, everyone except for one person was eligible for a green card without having to leave the country. So that is a pretty good day. Um, there are a few different ways that I help people get their green card without leaving the country. And it's not always possible, but I do my very best to analyze everyone's personal history, their immigration history, to see if they're eligible for one of these several ways that we help people get their green card without leaving the country. For most of the ways that I help people get a green card without leaving the country, my clients get the work permit in 4 to 6 months. And along with the work permit, most of them get a travel authorization in order to travel outside of the country if they want to, for example, to visit their family in their home country. A lot of my clients have spent several years here in the US. They are good citizens, good neighbors. They don't have any criminal history, and all they want to do is work hard and provide for their family. I believe that they deserve a work permit, they deserve a green card, and they deserve to be able to travel back home and visit family that they haven't seen for so much time. So it was really exciting today to be able to give that good news to so many people. Everyone except for one person was eligible for some form of immigration benefit so that they can fix their status here in the US, get their papers for themselves, their spouse if they have one, and their children. Israel is saying, descríbelo en español. Israel, tenemos una página en español. El nombre es Abogada de Inmigración Nicole Whitaker. So if you speak Spanish, look for our other page. It's called Abogada de Inmigración Nicole M. Whitaker. Okay. We had other good news today. One of our clients got his T visa for himself and his wife. So not only did we get the T visa approval, the work permit came for both him and his wife. And let's see. Let me find it. So he has a work permit that is valid until September of 2024. And this man entered the US illegally without a visa. He would have had no other way to get a green card except through this T visa program. And now he has a work permit and we'll be applying for a green card for him before this work permit expires in 2024. So what is a T visa? A T visa is for people who have been the victims of forced labor, basically a serious form of being mistreated at work. And a lot of my clients are victims of this kind of forced labor because employers tend to take advantage of undocumented immigrants. They know they don't have status. They know they're afraid to report anything. And for that reason, they take advantage of them. They threaten them to keep them working in oftentimes dangerous conditions or bad conditions, bad hours. They trick them. They lie to them. Sometimes employers control where their employees live because they provide housing. Sometimes the employers provide transportation. And sometimes it seems like a good thing that your employer is giving you an apartment and a ride to work. But sometimes they use it against you because if you live in the apartment they provide, you might be afraid to quit your job because if you quit your job, you could lose your apartment. And even though your boss giving you a ride to work seems like a nice thing, it puts you in a position where you can't take a day off. Maybe you can't quit work because your boss is always showing up saying, let's go, time to go to work. Sometimes employers will threaten to report their employees to immigration if they make a mistake or if they want to leave or quit. If those things are happening to you, or if they've happened to you in the past and you've gotten out of that situation, you could be eligible for a green card based on the T visa. Let me tell you a little bit about like a case study, what happened in one of the cases that I have. So this client worked for a restaurant. And this restaurant employed mostly people without status. It was their MO. It's what they did. They hired all undocumented workers because they knew that they could get away with paying them less wages, making them work more hours, and just not treating them well. So the first thing they did was they lied to this employee. They told him, your schedule is going to be so many hours a week, and this is your pay. Well, once he started the job, they gave him more hours and less pay. And they said, well, what are you going to do about it? Who are you going to complain to? You're not going to report us. You are the one that is illegal. Sometimes there wasn't, sometimes they didn't pay him at all. They would say, oh, we don't have enough money for you this week. We'll make up for it next week. We'll pay you next week. And because of that pattern, he kept working. Like, he knew that he wanted to quit because they weren't paying him. But if he quit, they weren't going to pay him for the hours he already worked. So he had to keep working to get paid for the hours he already worked. And that kept him in the cycle of continuously working for this company that mistreated him. The bosses and the owners would make fun of the immigrant employees. They'd say, hurry up, you're illegal, you don't know English. They'd make fun of them. They treated the immigrant employees different than the American employees. And then if the employees weren't doing a good job, the boss would yell at them and, continue to use derogatory words because, making fun of them because they're immigrants, making them feel bad because they're immigrants. And if they made a mistake, they would get yelled at, berated, threatened. And sometimes there was even physical abuse where, in order to intimidate the employees, the boss and the owner would push them. Sometimes they would throw things. They would get mad and throw plates down. They would throw silverware at the wall, all to intimidate and scare the employees and keep them working, keep them afraid of making a mistake, keep them afraid of doing something wrong. In this case, the boss threatened, if you don't work harder, I'm going to kill you. If you don't work harder, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to report you to immigration. He would use all of these tactics to keep people working. So they were so afraid of doing something wrong, so afraid of taking a break. They just kept working, 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 and they didn't feel like they could leave their job because they were, of course, afraid that this boss would retaliate against them and do something to harm them, report them to immigration, hurt their family if they quit their job, because this boss was just so violent while they were working. They felt like if they left, somebody would come after them. So, if you have experienced a situation like that where a boss has mistreated you, and you didn't feel like you could leave the situation, you felt stuck with that employer in that job, you might have a way to get a work permit and a green card here in the US through a program called the T visa. So if that's happened to you, give us a call at 410-207-9272. I am the immigration lawyer, Nicole Whitaker. My office is in Towson, Maryland, but I represent clients all over the country. If you schedule a consultation with us, you're going to have your consultation directly with me. The consultations are through video chat. So you'll talk to me like literally just like we're talking now, because this is where I do all of my consultations. So I am here answering your questions about immigration. If you have a question, leave your question in the comments below. Today I just finished up a day of consultations. It was a successful day. All but one of the people I met with today, I was able to find ways for them to get a green card without leaving the country. And on top of all of that, one of our clients got their T visa today, so they have a work permit for him and his wife, and within the next couple years, he's going to get a green card. One of the things he's looking forward to the most is being able to travel to visit his family once he's able to in his home country. He spent more than 10 years in this country without visiting his family. And I know a lot of my clients feel that same way. Of course, it's important to everyone to get a work permit and a social security number so they can provide for their family, so they can go to school maybe. But another big thing for a lot of my clients is getting the ability to travel, to go back home and visit people they haven't seen in years. So that's one of the joys of my job, is getting to help people do that. So let's talk about some of the ways that I help people get their status without leaving the country. Let's talk about getting a green card without leaving the country if you are married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. So first of all, if you entered the U.S. with a visa, even if you overstayed it, you can get a green card without leaving the country if you have an American, a U.S. citizen spouse, if you have a U.S. citizen parent and you are under 21, or if you have a U.S. citizen child who's 21 or older, and again, you entered the U.S. with a visa. But what if you entered the U.S. illegally without a visa? Or what if your family member will not help you get a green card? There's a way that you can get a green card on your own without your family member's help. It's totally confidential. They won't find out about it. It's completely private between you and me and the Immigration Service. Typically doesn't cause any problems for your U.S. citizen family member. And through this process, you get a work permit in 4 to 6 months and a green card in about 3 years. So if you're having problems, we're going to talk about if you're having problems with your spouse. if your spouse is a U.S. citizen or green card holder. You can get a green card this way. It's also for people with U.S. citizens, adult U.S. citizen children that won't help them get their papers inside the U.S. if their children are U.S. citizens and older than 21. But for now, we're going to talk about people who are married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. This is how you can apply for a green card without your wife or husband's help, based on marital problems. So here is the idea. The Immigration Service does not want people to stay in toxic relationships just for a green card. You can see how a lot of people, if they're married to a green card holder or a U.S. citizen, even if the relationship is bad, they might think they have to stay in that relationship, hoping that their spouse will help them get a green card, help them get a work permit so that they can feel like they're safe in this country, feel like they can work and make a living in this country, feel like they can feel free in this country. But I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. You do not have to stay with a spouse just to get a green card. There's a way that you can get a green card on your own without your spouse's help. You don't need their signature. They don't even have to know about this process if you're experiencing marital problems with your spouse. So, what are some examples of marital problems? The most obvious problem that I see or that I find is like an indicator that you can be eligible for a green card on your own is if your spouse, your green card holding or U.S. citizen spouse, isn't helping you get a green card. Maybe they simply refuse to help you. Maybe they always have excuses and they say, we don't have the money, maybe later, maybe later. Maybe they use it to control you and say, well, I'm going to help you after you do this. Or if you do this for me, then I'll help you get the green card. And they use that and they just kind of never ever get to the point where they file your papers. If you're in a situation like that, give us a call because you are probably eligible to get a work permit and a green card on your own without your spouse's help. What are some other examples of marital problems? What if your spouse is using the immigration system against you in another way? If your spouse threatens to have you deported, if your spouse threatens to call the police and lie about you and get you arrested, those are big marital problems. If that's happening in your relationship, you can apply for the green card on your own without your spouse's help. Sometimes my clients say, well, my wife only does that during fights. It doesn't matter when your spouse is threatening you, whether it's during a fight or not. Most of the time, it's going to be when your spouse is mad. That's when they want to say all these things to scare you and hurt you. So if during fights, your spouse says they're not going to help you with your immigration case, they're not going to go to the immigration interview with you, or they're going to lie, they're going to get the immigration service or ICE to come deport you, that they're going to call the police and have you arrested for things you didn't do. Those are all big marital problems. If that's happening in your relationship, you are eligible to apply for a green card without your wife or husband's help. Sometimes the abuse or the mistreatment or the marital problems are actual physical problems. both men and women can can experience these problems. Um, if your spouse gets mad and they push you, or they pull your hair, or if they touch you in any way in anger, that is physical violence. Those are serious marital problems. And if that's happening to you, you can get a green card without your husband or wife's help. Um, what else? What are some other serious uh, marital problems that could allow you to get a green card on your own without your spouse's help? If your spouse does things to keep you down, to keep you from improving your life, or if they do things to mess up your life. For example, if they don't let you go to work, they don't let you get a job, or if you have a job, they do things to keep you home so you miss work and might lose your job. If they do things to cause problems at your work, maybe they call your coworker and complain to your coworkers or your boss about you. Maybe they go to your workplace and cause a scene and embarrass you in front of your coworkers and boss. Maybe they don't let you go to school to get a better life. Those are marital problems. And if that is happening to you, you can get a green card on your own without your spouse's help. Again, in this process, it's completely confidential. Your spouse doesn't have to know about it. It typically doesn't cause problems for the US citizen or green card holding spouse. And another important thing to know is that a lot of people think that you have to be separated from your spouse to apply. Because if you're having problems, of course, you're separated. That's not true. A lot of my clients, they can't separate from their spouse, either financially or emotionally. They're just not ready. Maybe they have kids. For many reasons, people might choose to stay in a bad relationship. And even if they do that, even if they decide to stay, they can still get a green card without their spouse's help. You can get this green card on your own without your spouse's help, whether you are married to and living with your spouse, whether you're separated from your spouse, or whether you have divorced your spouse within the past 2 years. So this program can really help a lot of people that don't know about it. So we've already talked about what these marital problems look like that allow you to get a green card on your own without your spouse's help if you're married to a US citizen or green card holder. We talked about like physical abuse. When she gets mad, she hits you, pushes you, throws things at you, scratches you. That's physical problems. We talked about like psychological forms of problems where she's threatening to report you to immigration or the police, or where she's causing problems for you at work, not allowing you to get a better life. Maybe she controls all the finances in the house and says that because she's the one with status, because she's the US citizen, everything has to be in her name. The house, the lease, the internet, the cable, the phones, everything is in her name and nothing is in your name, so you don't have control over anything. Maybe she makes you feel guilty for spending your own money. Maybe your money is hers and her money is hers too. You have to support her, but she doesn't help contribute to the finances of the house. If she has to be constantly in control of you, asking where are you going, who are you going to be with, what are you doing, when are you coming home, if she wants your passwords to your phone, your computer, your social media accounts, because she wants to check up on you and see who you're talking to and what you're doing, that's an example of a marital problem. And if that's happening in your relationship, you can get a green card on your own without your wife or husband's help. The last example I'm going to give you is if your spouse is always throwing their status in your face. Like, I'm the US citizen, you're illegal. This is why I'm right and you're wrong. This is why if we divorce, I'm going to win and you're going to lose. I'm the US citizen, you're not. You're illegal, you're an immigrant, you're undocumented, you don't have papers. That's why if I call the police, they're going to believe me, they're not going to believe you. Those things are not necessarily true, but they're ways that your spouse is trying to control and manipulate you in the situation. And so if that's happening in your relationship, give us a call to schedule your consultation with me. My name is Nicole Whitaker. I'm an immigration lawyer in Towson, Maryland. And although my physical office is in Maryland, I represent clients all over the country. All of our consultations are video consultations, and so you'll speak directly with me, just like we are now. You can call 410-207-9272 to schedule that consultation. And I would love to help you with your case to get a work permit in 4 to 6 months and a green card in just a couple of years, because you deserve a work permit, you deserve a green card, you deserve to be able to go home and visit family you haven't seen in years. This particular program is for people who are married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder, people who are married to and living with their U.S. citizen or green card holding spouse, people who are married to but separated from, they're living in a different house than their U.S. citizen or green card holding spouse. And it's even for people who have divorced their U.S. citizen or green card holding spouse within the past 2 years. So if anything that I've talked about today sounds like something that has happened to you, that's happening to you now, or has happened to you in the past, give us a call at 410-207-9272 to schedule your consultation with me. I would love to help you get status so that you can feel free and able to live your best life here in the US. I'll see you guys next time.